Veterans Day, and I want to thank all who have served our country from the bottom of my heart. I do not have words to say how thankful and grateful I am to those who have given their lives to serving our nation and thereby doing what we can, doing what you can to protect freedom around the world. I cannot thank you enough. And there's so much hate and division in our world today, but just know far more of us stand with you than stand against you. And I want to thank you. So for the rest of us, have you ever wondered where we would be? Where would we be today if throughout history, in our nation especially, people had not stood up for their beliefs? This is part of why I started making these videos, because I see our nation falling apart. I'm like, I can't sit by and watch this anymore. I can't. Not knowing what I know, and too many people have given everything, or at least risked everything for what we have. So throughout history, think about like, where would we be today if when King George was unfairly taxing all the colonists, they just complained and paid the taxes, right? They just went along with it, and they were grumpy about it, but they just went along with it. Where would we be if the Sons of Liberty hadn't dumped all that tea in the harbor? Where would we be? And this is more of an international issue, but like, where would we be if during the 1940s we hadn't joined World War II and allowed what was going on in Germany to just happen? Where would we be if in the 1860s we had just 1860s and forever had just watched as half of our nation allowed people to be property, allowed slavery to continue to exist? People could have very much just turned their heads and well, that's going on over there. It's not happening right here in front of me. I'm just like, I don't want to create issues. I don't want to risk my life or my family or dividing our nation, potentially destroying our nation. We're not going to do that. We'll just let it go on over there. Where would we be today? Do you know? I just heard this discussion the other day. Things you start learning when you listen to other news. That apparently we have more slaves in our nation today than we had then. Let that sink in if you haven't heard that. It's horrifying. So I heard this. I'm going to drop a couple of places I like to listen to information. Sometimes Charlie Kirk I've been talking about. He's the one that was talking about this slavery issue currently. And then I put two and two together with a news story I'd heard a while back. If you look up justthenews.com and DNA testing at the border, you should find a link to a news article that I was just looking at. But so I'd heard a while back that they used to do DNA testing when they cross the border, when families cross the border, to verify that the kids coming across do in fact belong to the parents. Fun story from when I was a kid. We went to Canada. We're trying to come back from Canada, me and my family, and I had like white hair and the rest of my family had almost black hair. And they didn't think I belonged to my family, and they stopped us. They're like questioning me and my brother, and apparently I had stage fright and I wasn't saying anything back, and I'm sure my parents are watching like horrified, like, just tell them we're your parents. Anyway, so they had been doing DNA testing. I believe this was put into place under Trump's first administration. And the article I saw was from May of 2023 when Biden did away with this DNA testing at the border to verify that these kids coming across are in fact belonging to the people they're coming across with. So This feeds into several things that apparently these kids coming across with people they don't belong to has to do with the drug trafficking situation, and we're pretending to be a family, and that's not why we're coming across at all. And then these kids are being sold. Anyway, there's other things going on too. They're horrifying. But I just thought I would mention this as talking about like slavery and all the things we did to fight it and get rid of it back then, and now because it's happening behind closed doors and because the media is so insanely ridiculous and covers up a lot of really important things while creating nonsense with a lot of other things. I don't know. It's why I can't just keep watching all this stuff and just keep pretending like it's not happening. So a thought to ponder today is, for each of us, have I done anything to contribute back to all of the benefits I have received from my freedom? We have been entrusted, we've been given so much, we've been entrusted with so much. What are we doing to give back to that system? What are we doing to try to ensure that this will continue to exist for those who come in the future? For our children, for our grandchildren, all those who are to come. I think it's an important thought that each of us ponders. What can I do to contribute to this for the future? Thank you, veterans and law enforcement.